In a world where content is limitless, two dudes forge an unbreakable bond to become a part of something larger than themselves by creating a podcast unlike nothing the world has ever heard. Time is running out, and all hope will soon be lost. Their content could hold the key to fight against the darkness. No matter how many podcasts the people have listened to, they haven't heard us. Not us united. This is going to be maybe the hottest off-the-press review we've done,
Yeah.
right? Because
yeah.
it's always been the day after or the week of.
Yeah. It's literally been 15 minutes.
Yes, we're within an hour of getting out of the theater. This is the hottest review. Like, it's so hot that I'm sweating. I'm slightly melting. It's so hot.
Mm-hmm. I would also like to point out that we have a candle lit in between both of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's also hot because it's also very...
We also have flame.
Oh, no, I thought I was talking about the mood in the room.
Oh, got it. Fair enough. That's fair enough. There's a saying that I remember my dad used to say growing up, where he would say, "That's no cold coffee, that's hot tea," because then you get to say hottie. And this movie was hot tea. It was very good. It's not cold coffee, hot tea.
Hot tea.
Yeah, and so is this review. Very hot.
Hot tea.
Hot tea.
Hot tea.
Hot tea.
Hot tea. Hot tea.
Do we need to talk about what movie we're actually talking about?
Oh, we're talking about Werewolves Within, right? Again?
No, not Werewolves Within. Yeah, episode 3 of Werewolves Within.
Yes, Nick, inform the listeners what we are talking about this week.
We just witnessed the midnight premiere, and that is 5 p.m. Central Time, of Marvel's back to the theaters, finally debuted after 2 years. I mean, the movie was technically supposed to come out a year ago, but it's been 2 years of a drought of MCU films. We finally saw Black Widow.
Because you were saying Far From Home came out in July 2019. So it has
Correct.
been
Over 2 years. It was July 1st or 2nd when it came out. So we are over 2 years without an MCU film.
Now, we have had shows.
We've had some shows.
But we have not had an MCU film in theaters.
Correct.
It felt different.
It felt different.
Yeah.
There were people in the theater, unlike the last few times we've been there.
This definitely felt more like, oh, this is actually a theater experience. This was the most theater experience I've been to.
It still wasn't anywhere near what a Marvel movie usually is. There was nobody in our row, except for one on the end.
One dude in the corner, yeah.
Like, we were maybe at 30% capacity.
Yeah, but it's still more than like any other movie I've been to.
Agreed. We've had the theater to ourselves the last few times. So this was definitely like, we're getting back. Marvel will bring people in.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was very fun to be back and to like sit through credits. I was like, I've never been so happy to sit through credits again.
Well, you thought something good was going to happen during the credits.
Yeah.
You thought you were going to get a Doom trailer.
Yeah, that's true.
Dune.
Yeah, we thought we were going to get all sorts of fun things, but yeah, that's true.
But what we did get was a movie.
Hurrah.
Huzzah.
Yeah, good.
Raise your LaCroix. And I'll raise my wine.
Marvel's back.
Yeah. Cheers.
Baby.
We're cheersing.
Cheers.
Ting, 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 ting. If you have anything to drink at home, please, cheers.
Cheers. We're back. Pour one out for us.
We're sipping.
All right, well, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, because let me just preface this spoiler-free part of our review with, I went in with such low expectations, like the lowest of lows, because I was like, hey, obviously we're going to be talking about spoilers for all the other Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So even in the spoiler-free Black Widow part, I'm still going to have to talk a little bit about spoilers and other Marvel movies. Yeah. Okay, good. Now that that's cleared. Black Widow's super dead before this movie comes out.
Straight into it.
So coming back at it, I was like, interesting choice to do a movie now when you could have, because the timeline is that this movie takes place between Civil War and Infinity War when she's on the run from, whatever.
I didn't know that at all. I didn't know exactly when this movie was going to be set.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So I was just, hey, Black Widow movie.
True.
Gonna go watch it.
Cool.
Anyways.
Yeah, but it clearly tied into like the Sokovia Accords and like she's on the run. Basically, everyone's been caught. They even say like Ant-Man and Hawkeye have already been arrested, but Rogers is still on the run. I was like, maybe we're gonna see Steve just one more time. I was like, that's fine. We don't need to do it. But I just went in with incredibly low expectations because this felt like a very unnecessary film. It felt more like, we never actually gave you a solo film, so here you go. And boy, was I so glad that I went in with low expectations because this blew it out of the water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for me.
Nice.
I'm like, I don't want recency bias to taint my like where I would put this on my list, but this is a top 10 Marvel movie for me. I'm not even joking.
No way.
Yeah, like I have no reason. Like this is a completely unnecessary film. It didn't need to exist, and now that it does, I'm so glad that it does.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to hear more of that.
Okay, do you want me to keep going, or would you like to rebuttal first?
I mean,
like
I don't.
share?
I don't. Not necessarily rebuttal. It's more of a. I also had like my expectation was because I enjoy every Marvel movie to an extent, and I was like, I'm gonna enjoy this movie, and I did enjoy this movie.
Yes.
I don't think it's top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. It was just pretty much. So I it's kind of contradictory what I'm gonna say, but there wasn't too much of a larger scope of the Marvel universe.
True.
But also I enjoyed it because there wasn't this larger scope.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty straightforward. I didn't see there wasn't anything like crazy going on. There wasn't like anything. It felt like a Phase 1 kind of Marvel movie.
Sure.
Which technically kind of
it
like kind of is because it's like her own little solo adventure.
Yeah.
And like no one else is kind of like coming in and joining, but
yeah,
it felt it was good. I would tell people to go see it, but I'm not gonna say it's like top 10
in
my list. So like I want you to like keep going high.
Let me
on
shine.
It, 'cause I'm like I'm letting you go, but it's like I'm like, hey, it's fine. It's good.
Okay.
It's better than like Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 2.
Right.
It's mid-tier Marvel for me.
Right. I went in with like expectations of this movie will be kind of like in the bottom third of of the movies. Because it's like it doesn't need to exist. We don't need this story in this part of the timeline.
Right. It could have happened at any point.
It could, but because I was like, what are the stakes? She can't die. When you do a prequel, the worst part about it is there's no tension because you know they're always going to get out of it. They have some sort of like godlike protection throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, you kind of see some of that
because you like know they like can't. They're invincible, right?
Yeah.
And like for some reason it just sucked me right in. The whole opening like intro part with the origin of like how she became, but like they didn't touch on everything.
Yeah.
They just give you little flashes of like, hey, you see Bill Clinton over there? Maybe there's a Black Widow or something.
Yeah.
Or like, like, hey, you see those presidents over there? Maybe there's a Black Widow in there. Like all this stuff, and you like understand it. And I thought that was really good storytelling right from the start. And I think it just sucked me in. I was like, okay, that was way more dope than I ever thought that was going to be. And so it just started off there. And maybe I'm also just a huge Dave Harbour fan.
Oh, every time he said something, you're like, my guy, let's go.
Oh, my
like,
gosh, dude. He's got like a dad bod in this, like tattoos, looks really gross. And I look over at Michael, I'm like, I never wanted to look more like somebody in my entire life. Like he just...
Like Jason Momoa shredded, Henry Cavill shredded, and you're just like, Dave Harbour, I want to look like
you. He looks like me if I tried to look like Jason Momoa.
Yeah. But he's big. Like he's definitely like
he's a big dude.
Yeah, he's just big. Like he could like take
he was like the fat strong. Like fat strong.
Yeah,
where you're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he could probably lift more than Jason Momoa.
It was amazing.
Because he's just like he has the weight to him.
Yes. And it felt like I don't know. I know Marvel's formula is pretty like figured out at this point, but it felt like the formula was firing on all cylinders. It's a pretty tight production now that they've got it figured out. And there's some times where they like are used. It's like I don't know how to explain it. Marvel for the most part hits there's a few duds in there
Mm-hmm.
where they're like, hey, the formula didn't quite work. For me, this was just, it was just simple but good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it did everything it was supposed to do right.
Yeah.
It didn't try to take on anything that was too big or
Right.
too small. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, like, Thor gets into those issues where it's like, why wasn't other people involved in this? Like,
yeah.
like Marvel figured out a way to do that without over-explaining, like, all
Mhm.
their stuff.
Yeah, it's a very contained story. It's very Black Widow focused.
Yep.
And I'm glad there wasn't like, again, no spoilers, but like I'm glad there wasn't any bigger thing that came in and distracted from like,
Mhm.
hey, now this person's gonna take over and it's gonna be like
Yeah.
not Black Widow. It was like it was Black Widow all the time.
Yes. But, dude, yeah. I was pleasantly surprised.
Nice.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I legitimately think this is definitely like a top 10.
wow.
I can't say it's a top 5 because there's just 5
This is-
amazing Marvel movies that I can't put this over. But, dude, it's up there.
wow.
Like, I really enjoyed this movie.
That's crazy.
Because I was like, this will be the worst Marvel movie of the year.
hey.
I came in, like, with all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and it just totally, just, yeah. It's one of those, it's like when I went into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
It was
No
like,
expectations.
no understanding. Do these people even need to exist at this
Mhm.
point? Like, I don't know. And it's at those times when I feel like when a movie is unnecessary in the Marvel universe is when it's good, because then Marvel's like, we have to make sure you understand why this is
Mhm.
necessary. There's other movies that are necessary that are bad in the
Mhm.
Marvel universe. Like a Captain Marvel or something where it's like you have to give somebody
Age of
their
Ultron.
or okay, well,
Just gonna throw
it
that.
gets better with age if you go through
The
Age
Age
of
of
Ultron.
Ultron.
The Age of Ultron. If you let it sit, it gets better. But there are movies where it's like this is necessary because you can't not have a Captain Marvel movie and then also have her be huge in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But her movie, it uses the formula, but it doesn't do it well. I can't think of any side characters in that except for Monica Rambeau.
Yeah.
I can't even remember. Was Phil Coulson in that movie? Did
No.
they bring him back?
Yeah, he was.
See,
Right?
the fact that we
He
forgot
was, and
that.
Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, it was just like there's nothing memorable about that.
Yeah.
And this, I will be like, yeah, there are 3 characters in this movie that I absolutely adore.
Yeah. The core unit of this movie, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly Florence Pugh. Oh, she hits this out of the water,
Amazing.
man. She
Yep.
is so, I don't even know what that means. Out of the water.
It's
out of
Marvel
the
making
park.
fun of Marvel through Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
Like it's a very self-aware movie.
Yeah.
She's a very self-aware character.
She's 10 out of 10. She outshines, her and David Harbour outshine everyone, even Scarlett Johansson in this movie.
Yeah,
Like, Florence Pugh stole the show, in my opinion.
she was amazing.
Like, she was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it made me feel better because after watching Midsommar, she literally scares me. Like I get physically ill when I see her because she scares me so much.
She should have just, like, had, like, a bouquet of flowers.
Yeah.
Or one of those, like, ring flowers.
If
like,
she
put
did,
it in
yeah,
front of her
I
face
would
or, like,
just
around
like
her neck.
I would be triggered. I would just like immediately just start crapping myself. Like I'd just be so scared. And then she made me laugh, and I was like, "Can I trust that this is gonna be like you're not gonna?"
They
do
literally
anything
went
crazy?
to Norway. Oh, no, she didn't go. Whatever.
They did go to
Well,
Norway,
yeah.
but yes,
But she didn't. And
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
Sweden was Midsommar.
that's
So-
true.
But she was like, "Hey, I want to take a. My friends and I are gonna go to. Like, how
Yeah.
about if this movie, like, in the middle of it, she's like, hey, my friends and I are gonna go to Sweden to this festival."
That would have been just terrifying.
And she comes back and she's like, "Hi,
Hey,
I've
what's
been
up?
reborn."
Yes, I think too the drought of Stranger Things has made me like long for just some sort of content that involves some of those actors.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing David Harbour just do anything where he just gets to let loose and just like yell and scream, because that's some of his best stuff in Stranger Things is when he's just screaming absurd things.
I think he was better in this than any of his Stranger Things stuff.
Oh
I'm
wow,
gonna throw that out there.
good.
I thought it was great.
Look at
this.
these hot takes.
These hot tea.
Hot tea. It's not cold coffee.
It's not cold coffee.
Yeah,
no
that's right.
sir. It's not a cold Lacroix.
What a great line. Just
hot tea.
hot tea.
Hot tea. Let me throw some hot tea at you.
Yeah,
Your hot tea.
he was very good in this.
It was great.
Yes, he played also like kind of varied in his roles of what he played, but just ultimately like his main character. We won't get into like spoilers quite yet, but like, dude, just, he speaks with a Russian accent, and he screams a lot, and he's amazing.
He's amazing. no other word to say it.
It's like I hope he turns Russian somehow in Stranger Things.
He's been
Like,
so long in the prison.
Yeah, he's just like stuck there that he's like, you know what, I'm Russian now.
Yeah.
It's like, yes,
Let's
it ties
go.
in. This is amazing. What other spoiler-free stuff should we discuss?
I think just generally, I don't want to go too far in, but I enjoyed it. I think the action was solid. It wasn't anything that's like, oh, this is like changing the game.
Right.
It was solid. It was pretty nonstop, actually. There wasn't a lot of break points. Like, this movie kind of has a pace to it that just keeps going.
Yeah.
And there's like a break in the middle, and then just goes.
Yeah, I would like say, not comparing it like quality wise, but I would say like if you're looking for like a similarly shot movie, like this is about like Winter Soldier
Yeah.
in like just the ground level.
Oh yeah.
And then there is some like tech involved that allows for some like kind of supernatural stuff, but not too much.
Yeah.
It's pretty much
It's
like
pretty grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and it is one of those times where Marvel doesn't force something in to its timeline and then it feels like scrambled at the end to make sure everything's like all the loose ends are tied up. It like cleanly like feeds right into Infinity War, I think, pretty safely without like any huge like, wait a second, what about this and that? Like, I think it does a pretty good job that if somebody were to like watch this, they'll be like, oh, wait a second. And like it's pretty easy to flow right into Infinity War. There's no weird, like, that's what I think I love about it is it is quite simple of a movie, and maybe that's what made it kind of refreshing to me. It was like, yeah, you are trying to tie into this, but you're not juggling 18 side characters that need to like have like these spin-off branch things. It was just like, how about these four people
this movie,
and you happen to be right before one of the biggest movies, and it's just a good little tie-in. It's like a prelude to
it's like a little prequel comic that comes out before, and it's just like it felt like it didn't carry the weight of the cinematic universe on its shoulders, which gives it some levity, and like you can really do a lot in that. And so I feel
agree.
like it was good because it wasn't trying to be Endgame. It wasn't trying to be Infinity War. It wasn't trying to be anything that it shouldn't have been. It was doing exactly what the story, like, what it needed. It was just a spy action movie.
Yeah, I agree. No, I think that's a good way of putting it. I feel like ultimately it was it almost felt to me like it was a passion project. It was like, hey, I think there's a story to be told here, and it was like, well, make sure it's like one that like fits, because this doesn't have to be a story we have to tell. Like in the end, I didn't feel like that was an obligated like, hey, there you go, ScarJo, we got you your one movie.
Yeah,
it didn't feel like that to me. Like if it were the case, I feel like they should have just done like a randomly in the 90s, here's just a cool side story where she bumps into like Bucky Barnes and does weird stuff as a Black Widow.
Yeah. And
they didn't do that. They this felt like they decided to do it in the midst of like a pretty already clustered timeline, and it didn't feel like it like pulled away from any of the other things that were happening.
No, it's it'd be more interesting to see this like a year ago too, to be more fresh of like Endgame and Infinity War, how we would have thought about it coming out. But this movie could have gone bogged down into an origin story, and it really didn't, and that's why it's like solid. It could have gotten really boring. It could have been boring, really.
And that's nice because like it did have a little bit of an introduction, but when they kind of get you caught up with like the intro like song,
and then you're good.
You're like, oh yeah, we know, and we already have been introduced to Black Widow for so long. You don't need to catch us up on how BA she is. Like you don't need to catch us up on like, is she capable of kicking ass? It's like, well, duh. You know, like
we know
her ledger's pretty red. Like they literally said that in this movie and in a bunch of other movies. Like she straight up murked a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
And so I think that's when Marvel like is solid, when they don't have to be burdened with the origin anymore. That's why like Spider-Man's so refreshing. That's why like some of these other characters where it's like, hey, don't even worry about there was a spider, and now I do this.
Bitches,
and it's like, sweet. In 5 minutes, they did what the first 45 minutes of every origin movie has to do. You know?
Oh yeah.
And so Black Widow is just like, hey, what if we just like get going? You good? Yeah, okay. So, like, it was like 5 minutes in the beginning, maybe 10 tops, to, like, introduce some stuff. And then she is, boom, she's, like, on the run of after Civil War, which is what we knew was going to be the, well, I guess you didn't know that was the timeline.
Because I tried to know as little as possible when going into the movie.
I think we complement each other well. You're just, like, so fresh. Like, I don't read a single thing. And then me, I'm just like, yeah, so I've read 18 articles. And
here's
like,
what could possibly happen.
Yeah, here's what I think this. Yep, it's coming from this angle, you know, all this stuff.
Yeah,
so
I want to know absolutely nothing going into any movie.
But that's what's crazy. Like, I knew a bunch of stuff.
And
I liked it more than you did.
Well, this is like I know obviously I'm also a Marvel fan, but this is like more up your alley. Like you're the guy. You're the Marvel dude.
Oh, it's true. You are more of a DC guy.
But I mean, obviously I enjoy Marvel.
Yeah.
But also like I would say you know more about it than I do.
Yeah. But even me, I hardly scratch the surface.
Right.
Like Red Guardian or any of these names that get thrown out in this movie. Shoot, dude, I don't know anything.
Yeah, but
I know the all-stars.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like the guy who's like, yeah, I like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was good at basketball. It's like, name 18 other players. And I'm like, you know, there's that one guy.
Michael Jordan.
There's Michael Jordan. Don't forget about him. And then, you know, those other guys that he played with,
17.
you know. It's like, yeah, so I guess I'm a basketball fan.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's kind of how I am. It's like, I know what the greatest are, but I'm not like.
No, you're saying that to him, and right behind you, there's 3 Marvel posters.
Okay, maybe I know like maybe I know like 50 superheroes.
You have 2 Captain America shields in your room.
Easy,
right now.
easy. Yeah, he's the GOAT.
Anyways, I feel like I want to move into spoilers, and I want to really like get into the weeds here about this movie.
Time?
Yeah, I think it's time.
Okay.
I feel like I would recommend it.
Yep.
Marvel fan or not, I think this is so kind of detached. There's a part where you're like, oh, I kind of forgot it was even a Marvel movie. It's like, hey, we're just doing some action stuff. It's like,
yeah,
there's like, I think 10% of this movie is really a Marvel movie. The rest is like, oh yeah, it's just a kind of like a action movie.
Yes. My thought was that she should have got, so before this movie came out, I was like, you should have just given her a TV show. Because her whole character makes sense to just do like spy TV show stuff.
Yeah.
And after watching this movie, I'm like, nope, you told a good enough story in that short amount of time that I'm actually okay with it. Like, I don't feel like I need another movie. I don't feel like I need a TV show. I like what they did with it. And so I would recommend this to everyone as well. Obviously, if you're watching Marvel movies, you're going to watch this anyway. But I agree. This is like one of those few that if you watched it out of order, it's not going to...
Yeah, if your friend is like, hey, I was like a big Marvel fan, and they're dragging you to the theater to see this, I wouldn't see there's any reason to be like, oh, I haven't seen all 21 of these, or I've seen some of them. Like, you could watch this without it. And then, like, talk to them about, like, well, what does this mean? And then explain this. And then I think you can watch it without very little knowledge.
I think that ultimately, too, is, like, Marvel's goal is they're going to have some very, like, fan-heavy movies, and then they also need to remember that there's now a generation of people that, like, are just now getting introduced to Marvel. And so they're like, how do we do, like, gateway movies that can allow you to come into a series without having watched 20 movies and still be a part of
that's what this whole time frame is, really. It's like the start of, like, the next generation of Marvel movies. And so
I feel like post Endgame, if you were just to start here, I think you kind of get caught up on some stuff, and I think it'd be a good entry point going forward as we see what's going on next.
Definitely.
So there you go. It's recommended. 2 thumbs up, maybe 4 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up.
I'll give 3 thumbs up, 3.5.
3. Okay, so you are 1.5 and I'm 2. So there we go.
You're like, no, I'm good. 3 thumbs and I'm 1 thumb.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so there you go. So spoilers for Black Widow are starting right now.
Anyways, the part where she died at the end was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, what? She dies twice. No, I'm just kidding. That's amazing. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Should we just go chronological? Should we go subject? You want to go chronological?
I feel like we've been going chronological.
Okay, opening scene. Natasha, does she have red hair? No, she has blue hair. What are your thoughts?
I thought she was the blonde girl.
Silly boy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. You didn't watch a trailer. You didn't know anything.
I didn't know anything.
Finish it. Finish the wine. Finish the wine.
Yeah. Wait,
yep.
So you knew she was the blue-haired girl?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, was that in the trailer?
No.
Oh.
But I knew, like, I knew that Yelena was gonna show up, and so Yelena's naturally blonde,
I didn't know that.
and she's like the blonde Black Widow.
Yeah. See, I didn't know any of this.
And I was just like, okay, she's got a sister, she's got a mom and dad.
Mhm.
She's clearly the oldest one. So
Yeah. I don't know why. For some reason, I'm like, oh yes, Scarlett Johansson is mostly blonde sometimes.
yeah. Well, they like went out of their way to like they dyed this girl's hair blue, but they left the roots in like pretty good, and they
Mhm.
were very red. So I
Yeah.
thought it was kind of like obvious, but maybe not.
Not to me.
Not to you. Okay.
Not
I'm
to
so sorry.
my-
I'm so sorry for bringing up hair color and how you're bad
No, it's
at
fine.
noticing
Yeah.
it.
I just like, oh, there was like a while. I was like, oh, she's the older one. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I got it.
And then she was like protect. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
There's
that
a-
makes far more sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought the movie was gonna go, because I knew there was like the family element. And I thought it was gonna go the older sister, like she was gonna have an older sister
Gotcha.
that she looked up to and all that. So
No,
but
she's Mama Bear
she's Mama Bear
the whole time.
Mama Bear.
To the Avengers, to her sister, to everyone.
Yeah, I thought that beginning was probably one of my favorite parts in the movie.
Yeah, I thought the beginning of this movie,
It was very
especially
strong.
that montage that takes place after they kind of like get past the introductory, and then it's just like, what's that song? Is it the Nirvana
The
song?
Nirvana song, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
sucked me right in. Maybe it was a little cheesy, a little on the nose.
Cheesy.
Oh, but dude, I was here for it. I like looked over at Kay. I was like, this is way better than I thought this was gonna be. This is like one of the best openings to any Marvel movie ever.
Yeah, that
like,
opening
that song
was stellar.
was so good.
I don't think that the song, the whole flashback was okay, but like the whole like escaping
Yeah,
Ohio was great.
yeah. I can't
And
think.
getting to Cuba.
Yeah, getting to Cuba.
Yeah,
Or sorry, Cuba.
Cuba.
Uh,
But and then I
Yeah.
like how what my main concern was, I thought we were going to spend at least 30 45 minutes of this movie in the training facility, and like she's like, I'm becoming Black Widow, look at my life, this and
Mhm.
like I'm so glad it was like we spent so much time on this like family element.
mhm.
That's the heart of the movie. This movie has way more heart than like I thought it was going to have.
Yep.
And that core family element is so well put together in the first half, or the first 15-20 minutes, and then yeah, like you said, breeze through all that, and then boom, we're just here. It's
Yeah.
Black Widow.
Well, they don't spoon feed it, because I feel like at this point, if you don't know who Black Widow is and you don't know her story, she basically tells you it periodically throughout the movies.
Right.
It's like there's crucial points where she gets a chance to kind of dive in, where it's like, I'd like to do something right because I used to just like kill dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, I'm an assassin. We
Yeah.
built that part. Oh, I'd love to like make babies with the Hulk for some reason in this movie. Got it.
Did she specifically say the Hulk, or
Well, not the Hulk,
It
but
was
she was just
implied.
like, "Hey, Bruce, you're looking pretty hot." And he's like, whoa, wait, what's happening?" Like, there's literally a scene in Age of Ultron where he gets out of the shower and she goes, "Damn, missed the shower." He's like, "Yeah, except we usually take our showers separately because what is going on?" And then she's like, "Oh, I thought, maybe we could be together." And it's like, oh.
you mean in the best?
And then that
Avengers
was-
movie, Age of Ultron.
Yeah, in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Hey, I love that movie.
I know. That's
Yeah.
why I keep dogging
It's
on it.
amazing. But then she ties in, oh, well, even if I wanted to have a family, I can't.
Yeah.
Ties in that. So we don't even need the Red Room. We don't even need the training, because we're like,
No.
we already have the final product.
Bad organization. Take them down.
She's already explained enough of how crappy
Mhm.
it is. We're like, yeah, we got it. We're on your side.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, cool. How about we just do flash montage to Nirvana? Here we are now. Is that what it's called? I don't remember what the song's called.
I don't know either.
I mean, it's iconic, but
It's
I
the-
don't know the.
It's the famous one.
Yeah,
No, it's not Smells Like Teen Spirit, but it's the other one.
yeah. But dude, I was moved
Really?
emotionally.
I saw you crying. I'm just kidding.
There's just tears everywhere. I'm eating
Crying into your Chick-fil-A.
in my Chick-fil-A that I snuck into the theater.
I will tell you, the most life-changing thing that happened tonight was not this movie, but you bringing Chick-fil-A to the movie theater, and I was like, it opened my mind to like, I can eat anything in the theater
You're right.
as long as I sneak it in.
I've eaten Pancheros burritos
Mm.
in the movie theater. I've eaten 2 chicken sandwiches with
Mm.
Chick-fil-A sauce in the
Mm.
movie theater before. What else have I snuck in?
Because halfway through the movie,
I've snuck in a 6-pack of Miller Lite into a movie theater. I'm a bad boy, dude. I'm a bad boy LaCroix. Yeah.
Honestly, my favorite part of the movie was halfway through. You just pull out a chicken sandwich and start.
I didn't have my dinner, so I was like, it's go time. I was like, I'm not quite hungry yet, babe. So she's like, all right, well, it's down there if you need it. I'm like, all
He was
right.
talking to me, by the way.
No.
I was kidding.
I was
Also, that
waiting
was
for a
his wife.
lull in the movie, and there wasn't one for like the first third, and then there was finally like a quiet moment. I was like, okay, sweet. But then the chicken had kind of dried out a little bit, so it was a little more crunchy. So I was really self-conscious.
It was munching.
Oh,
I heard every
damn.
bite you've taken.
I felt bad. I tried to be really quiet.
Well, that was only because I was sitting next to you. I'm sure anyone else.
I felt bad.
I was like,
Maybe that's why
Either
you
that's
don't
a
like this movie. Dang it. I ruined Black Widow for you because of my chicken sandwich munching.
well, that was only 15 minutes of munching. Because every time you took a bite, it was like,
Damn.
I was like,
I feel
how
so
many
bad.
pickles you got on that sandwich,
No pickles.
dude?
No pickles.
Oh, no pickles on your Sammy.
Mm-mm.
Really? Are you
Nope, I'm a
averse to
pickle-free.
Okay.
Pickle free. I like cold fresh pickles on a sandwich, and
Are those
so
warm, yeah.
they're like they get warm and soggy really fast.
Interesting. I always had total side tangent, but like in college there was a Chick-fil-A on my campus,
Mm-hmm.
and there was always like people they would make the exact same sandwiches, spicy chicken sandwich and the regular chicken sandwich, and they would just make a whole bunch of them. And so some people that didn't like pickles, they're like, hey, I want to have no pickles on my sandwich.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, that needs to be a special order. And they're like, oh, I'm allergic to pickles. And so, like, apparently a lot of my campus was very allergic to pickles.
Oh, nice.
So
That's
everyone's
funny.
just like, hey, I want no pickles on my sandwich.
Yeah. I don't know why. I can do pickles sometimes, but not when it's like warm. Not a big warm pickle guy.
Would you just get a jar of pickles and eat it?
I
if
could
it's
eat like a
cold?
fresh dill pickle one, or like a spear, or whatever they call them.
Yeah, spear of yeah.
Yeah, where they like cut them a
They
little
cut
bit.
'em up,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would eat that, but I don't usually tend to just like have pickles on stuff.
Nah, that's the main way I eat pickles is on stuff. I can't eat a pickle by itself. Like a pickle on a Sammy? Oh yeah. On a burger? Oh yeah.
I'm gonna jot this down. I think this should be an episode by itself.
How do we enjoy pickles?
Preferred pickle.
Not Us United.
Pickle. Yeah.
Episode 7.
Preferred. Yeah, sounds good. But yeah. Well, I apologize. I really was self-conscious about my
You're
munching.
fine.
And I bet I
only
ruined
heard it because
I bet
was
this
sitting
movie goes
next to
down
you.
at least a whole half point because of my
Do
munching.
you know that half thumb that I gave it?
Dang it. Oh well.
I enjoyed it.
What
It
an
was
epic
fine.
story, but anyway.
I would have enjoyed this movie crunch or crunchless.
But it was crunch, and now I'm so self-conscious. I'll never eat chicken
No,
chicken sandwich.
Chick-fil-A.
No chicken fillet anymore.
Literally the next movie I go to, I'm bringing Chick-fil-A in.
Okay,
I'm
good.
so, that changed my life.
Perfect. Yeah.
I
Kate and
think
I
that
are
was maybe
masters of bringing stuff
Yeah,
in.
that's amazing.
She's like, bring a blanket for me because it's going to be cold in the theater. And I was like, or it's going to be perfect cover
That's the
for
other
bringing
thing.
food in.
So we're gonna have to start bringing blankets to the theater.
Yep.
Because I was like, oh, how are you guys gonna bring that in?
Oh,
Usually-
once winter comes out, I just get my North Face and I just smuggle so
Oh,
much
okay.
stuff in because I got those deep pockets,
Yeah.
dude. And it's that puffy coat. So it's like, are you going to check
have
it
5
out because
burritos
I'm
in here.
fat? Like, come on. It's like, I look like the Michelin Man. It's amazing. So I can sneak some stuff into the theater for you.
Amen. My guy, always looking out for me.
Very good. I'm always looking out for you. I got you.
Hmm.
All right. So, where did we get off on the tangent?
We got off right after like the intro with the song,
Yeah.
and so
Sucked me right in. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah,
Dope
I was
AF,
in.
as the kids would say.
Yeah,
Dope AF.
lit.
It was lit, fam,
I think that's yeah.
huge dab. I think. Is that right? Yeah, huge dab on this one for sure. And I would say after the intro,
Two dabs out of 2.
yeah,
no thumbs up.
2 dabs and a little bit of Chick-fil-A sauce for sure for the win.
That should be our rating system. How much Chick-fil-A sauce and dabs we give a movie.
For sure. That was a sacred currency for a little bit when they had their shortage. It
For a
was.
second, yeah, I know you're talking about the Chick-fil-A sauce, but for a second I thought you were talking about dabs.
Dabs. Oh yeah. We had to
there was a
pay them
shortage
in
of
dabs.
dabs.
Yeah, it's like, here you go. Here's 18 dabs just in case.
Just to let you go, I know you're going on the road. Here's a few dabs for the road.
Unbelievable.
Here's your emergency dab fund.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
sorry.
You're fine.
Let's get back
I
on
don't
track.
even know where to go with this now. Okay, so after the opening scene,
Oh,
we're
what
introduced to
happens? The sister, right?
no, we're introduced to I think it goes right to her. It goes right to Black Widow, and we get caught up on where she's running.
Oh, she's
And they
like
bring
in the building.
General
and-
Ross, because
yeah,
he
and
just
he's
has
like,
to
"Hey."
still be in these movies.
Yeah,
I felt like, I could be wrong, he looked a lot older than he normally does, but he also looked super fake I'm not convinced that William Hurt was even in this movie. I think he
Really?
might have been completely CGI.
I thought he looked fine.
I don't know. He looked like
I mean, he
It
did
looked
just have
weird.
the second triple bypass, so I
yeah,
don't know.
like if that's in real life, because he sounded really weak too, and I was just like, I don't. Is this felt like almost it was like computer generated.
Really?
I don't know. It was weird. I had a weird moment with him where I was like, maybe it's because in one of the movies he's digitally de-aged
Right.
in one of the recent ones.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was like,
Huh.
I'm not convinced that he was actually in this movie.
So they just got a double and like put his
Just
his
put his
face
face
is.
on him. It's
It
what
was
it
like,
felt like.
nah. It was like a COVID. Oh well, this was like before.
I don't know.
COVID.
Yeah. Anyway,
That,
but
that, I
Ross
think- I
always
think that's
finds
a
his
you
way
thing.
into these
yeah.
movies.
Every once in a while, I was like, oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I thought it was really interesting to do a Soviet Accords movie.
Yep.
Like, because we don't have anything really between those. We have Civil War. Oh, I guess we have Ant-Man, right? Or no?
So
during
Ant-Man 2
is-
takes
is-
place
is
during
Soviet
his
Accords.
like he's on
He's on
house
house
arrest.
arrest.
So it is
I guess that counts. But like, it was.
but he's not on the run anymore.
Yeah. See, like the people on the run, like your
Yeah.
Captain Americas and Black Widow and
Mhm.
all that. And so it was interesting to see that and to bring
Yeah.
that, be like, oh, okay, so how was this group that got together before Infinity War?
Mhm.
Like a little bit of background on that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Arguably, like what I would have done if I was Marvel. Now seeing this movie, obviously, I'm glad they did this. But to me, if you're gonna do a Sokovia Accord movie, I would have used this opportunity to have done a Hawkeye movie, because you haven't done anything with him.
Well,
Like-
not like at the TV show.
Well, now they will. Like they're obviously making up for like lost time
Yeah.
with a lot of these people. But like since he wasn't even in Infinity War and one
Yeah,
of the
what was he
Avengers
doing?
movies, he's not even really like useful because he literally turns into the villain for the
Mhm.
first part of it. You know, it's just
Oh,
like
in one of them he's not useful, or in all of them he's not
Stop.
useful.
he's amazing in Age of Ultron. Also another reason why that movie's great. But yeah, so on paper I would have said this would have been a perfect time to dig into some Hawkeye, like what he was doing during all this, because maybe there was stuff that was going on. But anyway, I'm glad they did what they
I think
did.
one of the thoughts originally was a Hawkeye and Black Widow movie.
That also could have made sense too.
That could have made sense, but I like that they split it up and he gets a TV show and she gets the
Mhm.
movie, and then they do explain Budapest.
Mm-hmm.
Did she always say Budapest? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I thought they've always said Budapest.
I thought they always say Budapest because they took a hot second to be like, it's Budapest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know what that was about.
I don't know what that was about either.
But overall,
Budapest.
We do get to understand what Budapest finally was. Good
Yeah.
little Easter egg that finally got 10 years later almost.
Yeah.
11 years later.
I know they've always been saying, I got your back at Budapest.
Yeah, they're like, you and I remembered Budapest very
You
differently.
know what Budapest is?
Yeah, or they're like flying to space. It's like just like Budapest. It's
Yeah.
like, what happened in Budapest? It's like, I don't understand.
So I thought this movie was going to be heavy Budapest.
Yes.
But then it's like, okay, well, they went to Budapest.
Yeah.
But then it's like, hey, this is what happened. We killed this guy. Or we pretend we almost killed this guy.
Yeah.
Which they should have killed this guy because the whole building exploded.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, yes, we are introduced to Yelena for the first time. Played by Florence Pugh, who's also another Black Widow, but the Black Widows are like,
Organization.
yes, and they're like being brainwashed. So we find out that after they hunt down this person, you think they're just normal Black Widows, but she gets exposed to this like dust that looks eerily similar to like Scarlet Witch's magic, kind of.
That could be a thing.
Turning their minds back off. So I thought that was kind of
I
interesting.
mean,
that,
Sokovia is in close to Russia, right?
Mhm.
So that's all Eastern Bloc, I
Yeah.
assume. But so that could be something.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. But anyway, we finally get her back. It was. I enjoyed her character a lot.
She stole the show. She was great.
Mm-hmm.
She was the best person in this movie.
She like has the classic like I'm the little sister, so she does a lot of like cute little antics,
Mhm.
but then is also just toe to toe, just as effective as
Yeah.
Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I like the whole like mind control stuff, but also my like one I guess maybe that I missed was how did they know that she gave Black Widow the serums? and then like Taskmaster all of a sudden like shows up and goes after her. Like how did Taskmaster know where to go?
Right.
Because then he or she shows up. In
That's a good question. I don't know if the box itself was
like a
trackable.
tracking. Yeah.
Because when he was like scanning, he like scanned the box.
That's true. Okay, so scan.
Or sorry, she. Yeah.
I know it's we're gonna be saying.
I mean, they even call Taskmaster a he up until the.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just know, like, I mean, in the comics and every other media, it's a he, which is like, so we're gonna say he.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes.
But yes, but I think that's why they tracked her down.
Yeah.
Or
okay,
that.
so the box like was being tracked. I was like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, like, how did Florence Pugh know where to find? I guess there was like this safe house in Norway that maybe they all use, but then like, how did they not connect?
Well, so he
beforehand?
said this box was taken from the Budapest house, and so
house.
where she does whatever she's at, she goes to the Black Widow Budapest safe house, and then this got shipped. They must have like an internal shuttle for Black Widows or whatever.
The Black Widow shuttle.
Exactly. So that's why they did that.
Interesting. Okay. Nice.
I like that. That was a cool twist at the beginning to say like, oh, actually, all the Black Widows are brainwashed. Like we already knew they were brainwashed, but now they're
like, literally
they're,
brainwashed.
Like they're actually
They
controlled.
gave them more sense of like, oh, we need to like really help these people because they now they have zero control. Because at least like, oh, we know like sometimes people can get out. Like
yeah, there's some
like
conditioning, like a
Black
Winter
Widow.
Soldier type stuff where it
yeah.
was like we're gonna say code words and then you get triggered or whatever. Black
Yeah.
Widow seemed to have like kind of similar type stuff happen to her.
Yeah.
This is just straight up like we've now literally figured out a way to chemically control your brain and make you just like do whatever we want.
Also, my thing when I was seeing all those vials not stored in fridges, I'm like, dude, I let something out of the fridge in my work for 30 minutes. It's
done.
my experiment's over.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, and I was like, okay, maybe it doesn't need to be refrigerated.
But then they
refrigerate, and I'm like, no, this doesn't work. Your experiment's ruined.
That is true. Yeah. I don't know enough about that to. It didn't take me out of it, but if I was a research guy,
I was looking at it. I was like, this isn't working.
These vials have been on the ground. They're contaminated. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. That's a nitpick. That's a good nitpick.
It's a nitpick, but that's a personal nitpick.
No, there's flaws in this movie.
Oh
for
no,
sure,
of course. I'm not trying to like destroy it because of my own personal like movie magic. Like
movie magic for sure. Agreed. We are introduced to Taskmaster. What did you think of Taskmaster?
Taskmaster was dope. Studying
footage from Civil War, which was cool to like also tie it in.
That's the other thing. She was studying Black Widow footage.
She was studying
Hawkeye footage, but it was Hawkeye like looked like he was fighting Black Widow.
Black Panther. That's why he gets the claws out at the very.
That's
dope. When he's fighting him during Civil War.
Okay, I thought for a second like
because that would have just happened
okay.
or like 6 months ago ish, and so because they make it a point to be like he or she. Turns out that she basically has studied all of the Avengers and now fights like them too. So like there's a lot of like Captain America-esque fighting, like with the shield, and like kicking the shield back up, and like there's some pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like that was cool, and I've always liked Taskmaster as a villain because like they could do anything. Yeah. Because like it's like how do you fight yourself or like literally all the Avengers in one?
And you can only do that punch once because usually it's like the only way to beat him is to beat him the first time.
Did you like, and this is skipping ahead, did you like beating Taskmaster with the power of friendship?
With the power of friendship, I don't know. She still had to kick her ass.
Yeah, but then she's like, I didn't like the serum, and then she's like, oh okay, now I'm serumless. And now I'm not under mind control, but you still blew me up 20 years ago. Or however many years ago. Like
so my thought was that so she got blown up.
Right.
And resented her dad for keeping her alive because what he did was to put a chip in her and she was controllable from like age 6 to 21 years later.
Yeah.
So she's basically just been a mindless drone for him. And so for her, it was like, I literally got to be like a daughter, and then the day you blew me up was the day that like he just turned me into a slave.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't you also have some blame to Black Widow?
I think after 20 years of seeing how bad your dad is and going, maybe that was justified to blow him up.
Yeah.
I think I'd just be more concerned with being free from that. I think she was just like, holy cow, you finally have freed me. So I don't think that part bothered
took you
me.
out of it.
The fact that she went the extra mile to do that, though, to like take care of Taskmaster, to me it was like, this is amazing. This is like that side objective if you want extra XP.
Oh yeah.
It was like, you don't have to do this. Like,
But
you can just blow up this ship. And she's just
also
like,
free Taskmaster.
I know you're going to kick my ass if I open up this door, but I think you're worth saving. And I was like, that's a pro. That's an Avenger move right there.
Yeah, and so, well, I mean, do you think it put any defect on her character to be like, I'm going to blow up this with a kid inside of it? But, like, then you see, like, her change. This is, like, the end, like, to get into S.H.I.E.L.D. So, like...
Yeah. I think... Oh, man. Yeah, that's tough.
I don't think so. I mean, like...
Yeah.
Because, like, we know she's done bad stuff.
Yeah.
She's, like, the one that doesn't have any, like...
It's that moral dilemma of, like, what if Hitler had a kid, but you could blow up Hitler right now?
Right.
And then she's like, I blow up Hitler.
Yeah.
You're just like, I don't know if I blame you. You know,
yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah,
but
so,
it's like, at what cost?
At what
you
cost?
Know?
Yeah, she was
yeah.
cannon fodder. I don't know the exact term she used. But
she
like,
said collateral damage. Which
yeah.
was, poor choice of words. But at the same time, it was like, this guy is doing just... Yeah, it's the trolley problem. Do you like?
Yeah, exactly.
If you know if it's gonna hit
but if
somebody,
Captain America was there, he would have found a way.
It's like
we
I take out the
trade
trolley.
lives.
I take out the
trolley.
I become the trolley.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's like, what are you doing?
We don't trade lives.
Exactly, we don't trade lives.
Yeah.
So yes, if Cap was still in this, she wouldn't have done that. But
it's just like, it was a bold choice to be like, hey, yeah, she blew up a building with a kid inside of it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but at least they didn't hold their punches. Like, none of this movie was
this
like...
does not hold back, yeah.
Yeah, like, I would say for the most part, Disney tries their best to be pretty, like family-friendly for the most part. As you get into, like, the really big, like, Avengers, like, you start to get into some, like, heady topics and also, like, Annihilation-type stuff. That's when it gets a little, like, maybe. Sure. This one didn't hold any... It's like, no, Black Widow, there's no, like... She's not a princess.
No, she gets
and
the
then
job
they, like,
done.
straight up talk about, like... The like hysterectomies that like all the Black
Falcon
Widows did.
Yeah.
And you're just like, dude, like I don't know if like a kid should be like hearing all
I know
that. You know what I mean? So
I was like,
it's fine. I'm glad they didn't like sugarcoat it.
Right.
Because I don't think you can really like that's what I tip my hat to Marvel to be like, hey, you didn't shy away from like, hey, Black Widow's kind of got some
blood on her hands.
Yeah, there's some bad stuff that happens. So I think for them to do that was more realistic than for them to not.
Fair.
You know?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And
it made the Taskmaster reveal that much better. Because only other guy it could have been was her, like, helper.
Oh, yeah.
And that would have made no sense.
Yeah.
It's like,
for a split second, I thought it was going to be Steve Rogers.
What?
There was a split second where I'm like,
why would you think it was
captured him and then used the serum? That's a comic book move to throw out there.
And then just somehow tie it in that it wasn't, like, and then Steve's back to being Captain America later.
Well, they serum him.
Yeah.
And then they anti-serum him. There was a split second as she was.
There's a better chance that it's Winter Soldier.
Yeah. I just think, like, well, he's in custody. I don't know. There's some.
No, you're right. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. There's a split second I was like, oh,
no,
Steve Rogers.
I would actually have been upset about
really?
that.
Okay.
Yeah. If
Chris
Evans' like last appearance in the MCU was a brainwashed, I don't know. I don't know.
I probably wouldn't have liked it. I wouldn't have liked it either. Because like again, it's like weird. I'm glad that it's like Black Widow focused.
Yes, it was good.
Like, there's no like, even in like Ant-Man, there's a Falcon like show up or like in Spider-Man, Iron Man shows up, and it's just like. This was all just Black Widow. It was all her, which was good.
There was definitely a part of me that wanted Steve to show up at one of those, like where, like, hey, I'm hiding out as well. But at the same time, I think
why
it's
wouldn't
respectful.
he be helping? Why wouldn't he be doing stuff?
But at the same time, I think it's respectful of those guys who are like the top tier heroes who could show up and just steal the show whenever they want to, like, actually give them space. You know, so I think that's kind of cool. But I think Marvel needs to also, like, surprise us a little bit. Like, surprise us with. You don't have to have like Robert Downey Jr. show up in the next 8 movies, but man, if you had him show up for just a split second for something because you're doing some weird time travel thing, that'd be fun. You know, like just let us be like, oh, hey, it's good to see you. I think that wouldn't ruin it. I think doing something like what you said, where it's like, what if? I agree, that is a comic book move.
They could have done, yeah.
I just don't know if I would have liked that as like his actual final part of the MCU.
Well,
was
it's
just
not going
this
to be
weird.
the final part because there's like always the rumors about like, well, he's going to come back for blah 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 blah.
We'll see.
Yeah,
but yeah, I agree with you. Yes, I like Taskmaster. Let's talk about the Red Guardian.
We've been waiting for this all the time.
My guy.
So the moment where I was like, oh snap, was when he just like when the beginning part where they're like getting the plane out and he just lifts that trailer out of the way and he's just like, nah, and then just go, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yep. Marvel is not holding back with this super soldier thing.
No,
they went from like Cap is the only guy to have ever done it and
like,
not be an absolute like crazy dude.
That's true. Yeah, I guess.
And now we have a second guy who seems to be pretty wholesome.
He's just like very talkative. And
yeah, but
like,
not like
bad. He's not a bad dude. I don't think.
I mean, Bucky is now good, but there's very few people who have the serum who aren't just crazy.
People,
you know. And so you got to be careful because when you make everyone have the special stuff, then no one's special.
Okay,
you know?
Incredibles. All right.
Thank you. Little Easter egg for you there.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it for now. But if we start to be like, and then here's the Canada version of Captain America.
There's Captain Canadian, right?
And here's the British version of Captain.
Well, there's also Captain.
I know in the comic books there are, but it's just like, okay, Steve Rogers isn't looking like so special anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's what I think. That's the natural evolution of where, like, these movies go. It's just gonna follow the comics where it's like, okay, now we need more and more and more and more. Of like, here's this character and this character and this character, and it's like, I think there's a certain point where we are gonna reach all that.
Yeah, it's true. As long as it doesn't, I don't know. I guess as things grow, they will eventually you'll have to kind of change some of the things from the past, but I guess the one thing that you still have with Captain America was, yes, he was Captain America. Yes, he like was the perfect, whatever for the super soldier serum, but he was also worthy of Mjolnir, which was like maybe what keeps him as the.
Well, he's the GOAT, dude.
He's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah. There can still be good basketball players even though they're not Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fair. It's fair.
So speaking of Captain America, the part where he's in the prison toting that he's like, I fought Captain America back in the 80s. I thought that was just him making stuff up.
Yeah, so I didn't know how old he was, because if he truly did take the serum, I assumed that he maybe was a older dude who maybe actually would have gone toe-to-toe with Cap like back in the heyday.
Right, but Cap was still frozen until like 2000.
No, I'm saying
whatever.
like, what if he was created around the same time?
It's like the 40s?
Yeah.
He was saying the 80s.
Oh,
that's like Cold War.
Well, then if that's the case, then yeah, it makes sense that he's lying, because Cap wouldn't have been frozen until.
No, he was. This is a Cold War creation. This guy. So it would have been 70s, 80s.
Yeah. So then, yeah, you were right that was all just a joke then, because there's no way he could have fought Captain America for another 30 years or whatever.
Or do you think? Okay. So what about Captain America from Falcon and Winter Soldier? The guy that was in it Korea or Vietnam?
Not Isaac. What was his name? Isaiah.
Yeah. I mean, there was super soldiers being thrown around there. Do you think he fought him or something?
Maybe.
And he was like, Captain America. He's Captain America.
Yeah, my understanding was that maybe because Natasha was an Avenger, he was trying to say like, hey, has Cap ever brought me up? As someone else who has the super soldier serum, maybe I'm worthy of somebody he talks about. That was my understanding of how that all went, but that could be an interesting tie-in to other soldiers who got tested on during
the Cold War stuff. Yeah, I was just throwing it out there. I think it's mostly just a lie.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, caught off guard because I was like, wait, is he saying that he's like 150 years old right now, or what is he saying? Like I was
yeah, because
confused.
the only time he could fight it would have been in World War II.
Right. So I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
No, I thought he did a good job. It didn't bother me that I knew like he naturally isn't like Russian or anything, but like it didn't like
take you out of it.
Yeah, he switched to like English accents every now and then because he was undercover and stuff. But I thought like overall he was really good.
So there's a point where so he can speak like perfect English in the beginning of the movie, and then like when he's in the room, and I know I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place.
You're fine.
But the room where he's talking with Florence Pugh, and he's like, he toilets on my hand. Like he loses his American, his way to speak English perfectly, and that's probably because he's just been in the Russian prison for years, and now he's speaking Russian.
It's like,
English
why can't he still speak well?
Right.
Yeah.
But then like I was thinking like, oh, why can't he speak well? I was like, oh, probably because he's not been inundated in the American culture for 21 years.
That's true.
So it's like he went back to the Russian way of saying certain things.
That was hilarious though.
Yeah. He make a toilet on my hand.
That was pretty good.
He was great. He was so good.
Yeah.
He
wasn't like the stupid guy for stupid sake.
Right.
That made no sense. Like everything was justified. There's some of these movies where it's like, and I'm the guy who says stupid stuff.
Right, and then they're just annoying.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. He was like genuine. And
he's like the dad that you like love, but you're like, man, you're so stupid at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you gotta stop being so stupid. But dang it, it's like it's charming. You know?
He was charming.
Yeah. He killed it. Dave Harbour energy is always good energy.
Yeah, he was great.
I love that guy.
So I guess that brings us to like the prison breakout scene.
Mm-hmm.
Solid scene.
Yeah, it was great. Lots of action. They didn't skimp on the budget.
No.
There's good action set pieces. None of the stuff in the trailer, like when she's wearing her white suit, I was like, that's the finale.
Mm.
And it's like, that's the first 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, that surprised me. Like,
yeah.
They did a good job
of in the trailer, like, because like it probably didn't show.
They show the one where she's like falling on the debris from the sky. I was like, well, that's probably like a movie part because like Taskmaster's like whatever. And then when she's rocking the white suit, I was like, oh, that must be her new final suit. And it's like, no, it's the black suit.
It's a classic suit.
It's the classic like original
with
Black Widow suit. Yeah. And which I thought was neat. Like her newest suit is actually the oldest.
Yeah, because there's a point where like before we know the kind of the twist about like her mom and her switch. Her mom's wearing that suit. I'm like, oh, that's like the classic Black Widow suit. That's really weird for her to wear. Mm-hmm. I was like, now I get it. Yeah. They bring back the face stuff from Winter Soldier.
Yeah, they do like kind of the Mission Impossible-esque, like the stuff that Black Widow, she always does that mask thing. Like that's been one of her things. She always hides and does those things. This paid like true homage to like all the stuff that she's done, but yet it didn't feel forced.
No.
It felt good.
No.
It was very done. Yeah. But as for the prison breakout scene, I thought that was well done. It was fun to see like a fat version of Captain America still do all the things Captain America would, just sloppier.
Yeah.
So like he's jumping like 20 feet in the air, but then he's like barely missing the bar and like screaming bloody murder because he's like missing everything. You know, it's just like it was just like
an out of shape Captain America.
Yeah. It's like, what if Captain America was a dad? And had eaten too much barbecue for the last like 20 years. It's like, this is who he is. And so I like that. It's a fun play on like, because all we've seen so far is super soldier means jacked, lean, young killers. And then we get David Harbour, who's like 6'4", 350 or something, like just something, not 350, but just a big, thick dude. And he's just jumping like, I don't know. It just looked like a fun movie. Like that part advertised to him was like, oh, I just get to be some like crazy Russian dude who gets to jump and punch really hard.
Fun.
I'm in.
Oh, the part where he's like at the house and just gets shot by like one dart.
He's like, are you kidding me?
That's nothing to
Gets shot with like 1 billion darts because that's amazing. Yeah, he had some great zingers. I know I said I like. This is a top 10 for me. It's probably not very quotable.
Yeah.
It's not a quotable Marvel movie. There's not a lot of quotes, but yeah, the family dynamic was fun because she's always said like the Avengers is the only family she's got, but she does kind of get like a little redemption in the end to be like, actually, this family could be real. We've just been so prideful and like protective of who we are.
What you choose.
Exactly.
Fast 9.
Exactly. Like literally, you could make a Vin Diesel meme about this and it would be correct.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't beat me because I've got family.
Yeah, seriously.
It's like,
yeah.
that's the movie.
One of my other like favorite parts about this movie is that dinner scene with all of them where they come back.
Yeah,
they're just like bickering like a family, and they're like, it's great. And I realizing now, it's like I enjoyed when there wasn't action going on in this movie.
Yeah,
like probably even better than some of the action. Because
I think you really like this movie a lot more than you think you did.
No,
I can see it in your eyes. Anyway, continue.
No, I think the action's just by the numbers, but I think the family element and the heart of it is really what makes it solid. If it didn't have that, I would not like this movie as much. It's just like, it felt like action was fine. It wasn't anything like, they just skydive out of the. That was cool, but I don't think they did much with that.
Yeah, I mean, all the action scenes were actually pretty quick.
They were quick but competent, but it kept going, because then it's like, when Taskmaster's driving through Budapest and just like does not care wrecking, about anyone's car.
Yeah. The one thing I will say too is Marvel has finally diversified the way that women fight in Marvel movies, because she doesn't just do the leg scissor kick every move.
2 seconds.
Because unfortunately they do kind of like, oh no, how are you going to beat him? Black Widow's like, I guess I'm going to have to wrap my legs around his neck and like punch him, and like every single time. And like there were times where even like Florence Pugh would show up and like looked like she was gonna go for it, and then she'd like sweep kick him and then just punch him in the face. I was like, yes,
nice.
You can also do other things. That's what I'm talking about. And there's so much good like choreographed like fighting in this. Yeah. And it's like brutal fighting. Like they're throwing each other into walls and like.
Okay, that's the other thing. Is like Black Widow should be dead.
Oh, Kate said that like 8 times during the movie. She's like, how is she not dead yet? I was like, because she's Black Widow and she's got family.
She's because family.
Because family.
Her car got wrecked at least 3 times, and it got flipped multiple times each time. And I'm like, dang. And she like comes out like, so like, and that's just an action movie in general. Like they always do that. So it's like it's not a bump against this movie, but like. Maybe like give her like some injuries every once in a while, like just in general about like action movies in general. Like if someone like topples on a car, like give them a gimpy leg for like
she was bruised up pretty good.
She was bruised, but like they didn't. I feel like
she wasn't debilitated.
I think the next step about action movies is like, and John Wick kind of does this, where it's like have an injured arm and then like figure out a way to not use that arm in a fight, and that's like that would be an interesting dynamic between just like I just went through 3 car wrecks and now I'm gonna get out and fight people.
This is like kind of gets the pass of just this is her final thing, so she's gonna pop off. Yeah, and so everyone's just like,
like I totally accept it, but it's like
I get what you're saying though. She gets overly beat up in this movie more than usual.
She was slamming into walls, but they're tables.
They're like kicking people, but then on top of that, then they'll like push them 10 feet into a thing that drops on their head, and then they just like drop, and like the sounds are just so like
it was
a brutal movie. Some of the fighting in this was nuts.
Yeah, it was pretty like hard hitting.
Yes, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Very, very well fought. Like, that's what I think kind of like when Marvel like is at its best. Like, my favorite movies have always been the Captain America movies, because that ground level just fighting is amazing. I love Winter Soldier. I love when they're fighting and it's just like that one knife. That's it. Like, that's the weapon. Like, and they're going to just totally like wreck shop with each other. Like, that's all it takes. Whereas in Infinity War, it's like we got to do with a glove and he's got 18 stones on it, he's just gonna blow up a planet. But it's like Bucky Barnes with a knife versus Steve Rogers without one and not a shield. You're just like, like, this is gonna be like, those are the best fights. I love those. And so this felt very like Winter Soldier-esque in the fact that like
the choreograph of
get a weapon. Like she got like a stapler at one point, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is intense. So I liked all that stuff.
Solid.
Let's talk. We now seem to the cool thing is, like, I feel like what one thing Marvel is doing is building up these, like, other types of, like, armies. So, like, we have Wakanda now as, like, a unit that can function as, like, Tony Stark's lab. And now we have, like, an exodus of, like, Black Widow variants that are, like, or they're now, like...
Variants?
Not variants, sorry. I guess I should say, like, free agents.
Yeah.
That
are
task
gonna force could do stuff, and now they have the whole story they can go through, and maybe a Disney Plus show.
True.
They can
recruit more brainwashed. Like, that could be a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so I think they're building some interesting, like, areas of the MCU that could potentially play some bigger roles. And so I feel like the baton was passed pretty well to, like, Yelena, and maybe she'll start to take over, like, this, like, Black Widow program or something. So,
well, I think it leads into, we'll go into the end credit scene, but there was a moment where it was like, I was wondering, I wonder if they could have thrown David Harbour's Red Guardian into, like, Endgame during the portal scene. Like, thrown them in, just to be, like, very tiny in the corner, and then, like, no one, but it'd be hard to be, like, because everyone's going to dissect, But, like, I wonder if, like, because they could have showed up at the end game. They could have.
Yeah, I mean, but Black Widow's the only one who knows them.
Would have known,
and so she didn't quite make it to the portal scene, so I don't think she can bring her family, so I'm just saying. It's true. I don't think there's a lot of people talking like, hey, what were you up to when you were on the run? Well, I was hanging with my family. Also, they're really cool and they have a lot of superpowers.
Also,
maybe
fall off this cliff.
Invite them to the portal scene.
You know the portal scene whenever we bring everyone back? Yeah. And then Steve Rogers says Avengers Assemble? Yeah. Make sure Red Guardian's in there.
Red Russian.
Red Russian. I don't know. I was just thinking about, like, that would be a fun little thing they could have thrown. But, yeah, I forgot that she fell off a cliff.
That's true. That is one of the sad parts about the portal is, like, some of the people that do get into that scene, you're just like, it feels weird that she's not in it, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it makes that scene so much better because it's like it costs something, you know? There's actually stakes. So it's good.
Speaking of stakes, I felt like someone was going to die in that family unit.
Yeah, it did appear that way, but I think the only thing that allows them to not do that is because we already know Natasha's fate. You don't have to have anyone else die in that unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but...
because the audience would already know that Black Widow's not making it out of this, you know?
Right, but, like, as a core movie in its own self... they just kind of win, and that's like kind of like a main sense of like Marvel movies, like where's the sacrifice, and that's what we get in, like Endgame, and like, but there's such a huge cast of characters, and that's where they're strangling themselves, is like they just kind of like have all these people that are people want to see. Yeah,
I think we're also in the rebuilding season. Yeah,
like
after Endgame, you're losing quite a few big
definitely
people.
That's fair.
And there was a few like casualties, and so I think for now you're gonna see some new faces with like question marks at the end.
Like if you want to come
like
back,
maybe let's leave a spot open for you.
Yeah.
And then if you want to have a memorable death, maybe in like 3 films we can do something.
We'll bring
dope.
you back for like 15 minutes. And
And so for me, that's just what I think Marvel's doing right now. Is like they're just basically saying like, come one, come all. Do you want to be a part of this? Yeah. And then we'll worry about the death stuff later. Like, if you want to be a villain, you can die.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a hero, who knows? With all the shows we're doing, this could go everywhere. And so...
yeah, I feel like this was a pretty solid villain, because Marvel is known for not having, like...
Yep.
Besides, like, Loki and Thanos, pretty much.
Yeah.
Not
Killmonger.
Strong, Killmonger. Those would be the top 3, but only 3,
Ultron,
really.
Anyway.
No.
Obadiah Stane.
Tony Stark built this in a cave with a bunch of scrap.
I love that guy.
He was a solid villain, and obviously you hated him. He was terrible. Yes. Do you think he survived? He already survived one explosion.
No. The reason I don't think he did was they exploded. His glasses come off.
Yeah.
In every action movie, when your glasses like float to the top of the water or they explode off, you're dead. They explode off your face. That's that's action film 101.
Yeah.
The other thing is when she falls parachute-wise, she falls into the empty plane that exploded, and it's completely empty.
Okay.
So he, even in
I think
worst
he's
case
dead, too.
scenario,
He
he
still had
somehow
to fall to the
fell out. He has no parachute.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, he's still dead,
Yeah.
in my opinion. But it was a little odd to be like, was he dead last time when you saw an explosion?
Yeah.
Well, how about another explosion where you
Yeah.
don't see it? But that's why the glasses are key. That when the glasses come off your face, it's because you die.
I would have just liked to have been a more personal death.
Okay, that's a little sick.
I'm
but
sorry.
I
No, I'm
understand.
sorry.
I get it. I get it.
like.
I want to see the life leave his body. I get what
No,
you're
I
saying.
mean like it would be important. Shut up. I want to see the man drained of his life. Yes.
Got it. Go on.
I think to set up. Oh, he survived one explosion.
Yes.
To possibly did you see him die and not have
Right.
that come back?
Yeah.
She didn't see him die.
It's true.
Like they set that up and it didn't happen.
Yeah. That's fair. That is odd, but I think that was probably the one part where the movie's like, hey, we figured out how to get all the pieces to the right spot, and now they're just in the air, so what do we do? The easiest way to kill them is
dope.
Yeah, that was a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So
There's like something in the Marvel universe with like sky castles and stuff. Though like Doom does a lot of that, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I like the idea of it too because it's kind of like a helicarrier. It's like he's trying to almost be a
shield,
Avenger
anti-shield.
shield. Yeah. And he even he's like, I can finally stop hiding from the shadows if I
Right.
can control an Avenger.
Right.
And it's like, but classic dude, just like, I have to be known.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what if you just could be
Don't.
okay with not taking credit for being evil?
Right.
Like, you have so much power. And they're like, yeah, but no one knows that I have so much power.
Mhm.
It's like, isn't that the best kind? Like,
Right.
when no one's looking for you,
You're just
you know?
stupid rich.
They're just like, no, I gotta be known.
Man.
But that was cool though. Like, she played him really well, and
Yeah.
like Black Widow, like that's
That
how,
was
that's what
smart.
she did with Loki. Like,
Yeah.
that was kind of like a tip of the cap to that too, where she was like, oh no, I'm so scared, and he's like, this is my plan, and she's like, I got his plan. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, we got him. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, she's so good.
Yeah, like it was outsmarted him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I'm just gonna slam my head against the table and lose all my olfactory senses,
Yep.
and then I'm gonna punch the shit out of you.
Yes, exactly. No, I thought it was a very good villain. Everything about this movie just felt clean to me. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
it
trying to
was
think of
clean.
another movie that was like, besides like The Winter Soldier. I mean, Winter Soldier was pretty plot heavy, and it did tie into some other stuff, but it was also just like so
It
excellent.
was so excellent, and then it had that Hydra twist, which was like
yeah,
next level.
it was. I'm trying to think of like what was like the last clean. I'd say Far From Home was pretty clean.
Yes.
I enjoyed Far From Home. Trying to think.
See,
of
to me, like clean though felt so by the numbers.
Yeah, you're almost like saying this felt so like
It was so
by
clean.
the like
Yeah.
formula.
I wanted
that
something.
It didn't feel different enough
Yeah.
to you. For me, I was like, this is when the formula is at its best.
Mm.
That I was like, thank you, because sometimes your formula is like, and then enter side character B, who's gonna have a backstory and
Yeah.
and everyone's like a talking puppet,
Yeah.
where it's like, you're doing the thing where you just copy and pasted.
Yeah.
But you're making everyone less interesting.
Right.
And some of those movies have sucked. Like,
Yes.
there have been some bad Marvel movies where, like, we figured it out. We cracked the code. And it's like, not this one, you know? And this, to me, was like, it just had the perfect amount of, like, Marvel has heart, and this movie had heart.
This movie,
you know?
yeah.
And when they go away from that just to give you, like, more content, more characters, more things to sell, that's when they start to lose me a little bit. So,
And I wouldn't say I wanted more content. I didn't want a cameo. I wanted something standoutish. I don't think this movie had a point where
you
it's
wanted
like
something iconic.
yeah. I wanted Independence Day. I'm
Up
back.
yours, I'm back.
I'm back.
Got it.
Yeah. I wanted something that was.
But this was like a swan song. This was like
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
It didn't feel like a swan song though, because it just left everything open.
Yeah, but like her getting on that ship was just like, hey, I'm gonna go save my friends. And
Yes.
it's like, yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
Then you're
you
gonna go a
are.
whole adventure.
You're gonna save them and die.
Yeah.
Like, to me, yeah, I get what you're saying though. Like,
I want a little
I don't
more.
want this to elevate above what she's about to do. I felt like it knew its place and
It
didn't
did,
try to
yeah.
go above. Because if it tries to be better than Endgame, or like above like the Endgame sacrifice,
no.
then what's the point?
there's no
like
point,
if we've
yeah.
already seen her do something that good, why make her do another thing?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like it didn't need to be a home run. It just needed to be like a solid double.
And it was a solid double.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's interesting because we agree on
Stake wise,
Yeah.
that's what it needed to be.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like it didn't. I don't know. I don't know why that makes it so special to me, but it was just like it's like we have most of Black Widow's puzzle completed. We just
Yeah.
need that one missing piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's
This
not
felt
necessarily
like-
the most important, but it fit.
Yeah. This
And
was
it
the
fit
complete-
so
yeah.
well that I liked that it did it that way.
It finished. Like your
Yeah.
character's done now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so for me, it was like, was it the greatest thing Black Widow's ever done? Probably not.
No,
But is
yeah.
it the worst? No. But it made something that was unnecessary to me. Like, I understand what the puzzle looks like. I don't
Right.
need that last piece. But when you put that last piece in, I was like, oh, spicy meatball. Mamma mia.
I just feel like when I think about movies, I think about how I would revisit them and rewatch them. I don't think I would rewatch this very quickly,
I would agree with that.
but I would rewatch like A Far From Home, even though I don't
Well, yeah.
love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would feel like I would visit a lot more Marvel movies than this one, and that may be because I just haven't
Mhm.
seen some of them in a
Some
long
of them
time.
are a lot more comic booky, too.
Yeah. Okay, that could be something too, where it's like it was comic booky with all the serums and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like the face masks and
Yeah.
I wanted a little more,
I get what you're saying.
but it was exactly what it needed to be,
Mhm.
and that's almost why I'm like, oh, it was exactly what it needed to be. It was exactly what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
It wasn't experimental, and if it was, I think it could have risked you hating this movie, but it could have maybe
But it
risked
could have
you
been
loving this
and
movie.
that's what I want to see.
Fair enough. I think the only reason, because I'm with you, for the rest of Marvel, do exactly what you're saying.
Right.
For the last Black Widow movie, don't do what you're saying.
That's fair.
I just say, like, land the plane.
Land the plane.
Like,
That's fair. 'cause
that's
they're
how it
literally
was
gonna
with
do
Endgame,
Eternals
too.
And like Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
And like even the next Spider-Man's gonna be like wild.
Now they're doing just...
Yeah, everything's just gonna be wild, and that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we just need a movie that's like pretty by the numbers and like, hey, this is Black Widow.
Yeah.
We should have done this a long time
In
ago.
my mind, instead of saying, like, cap it off with Far From Home
Mm-hmm.
and say, all right, Phase 4 is done, I say, no, Black Widow. And
Was
then
this
just pick-
technically Phase 5?
I think it is the start of Phase 5.
Yeah, that's not cool.
So I would just
No.
say end it, and now Shang-Chi, start us off, buddy. Like, let's get going. You know?
Yeah, I agree. This should have been the end of Phase 4.
Mhm.
Like in my mind, it'll always be the end of Phase 4
Yeah.
because it ties so much into, or like
Mhm.
it's set in that time frame. Like,
Agreed. Yeah.
this could have come out. I feel like it might have been more even powerful if this came out after Infinity War in the place of like Ant-Man 2 or something.
Yeah. I'm still, like... So, I don't like Captain Marvel.
Right.
I think she would have been better served
As a
if you
Phase 5.
introduce her now.
Yeah, I agree.
Take her movie out, put Black Widow there, and just don't have her be an Endgame.
Yeah, because
You're fine.
because she wasn't hardly even in it.
Yeah, she brought Tony back, which maybe we could have figured out. One of the Guardians stays instead of gets snapped, and then
Yeah.
they fix the ship, and it's fine. Or whatever. Like, they could figure it out.
Yeah.
She was such a plot device
Yeah.
everywhere she was that I was like, just get her out.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make... And I think she would have been much better served when she didn't have to carry the weight of, like, being forced
The
into
finale,
this so that she could be a plot device.
I agree.
So
I
I
100% agree.
that's in a perfect world, that's what the timeline would have been. And
Yeah.
then this movie it wouldn't have hit quite as hard because it's like, oh, I don't know if she's dying. But now that it's over, now we know her fate. But, like, I think it would have been better served there, probably.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, I just feel like I agree with you with the sense of Captain Marvel felt like so out of place, and then they didn't even know what to do with her.
Right.
Because like they didn't know how much she was gonna have in
She's the
Endgame.
first Avenger, but she's actually just going to be gone the whole time.
Yeah.
And now she cut her hair for no reason. And now
Yeah.
she can fly through ships.
Yeah.
And that's what she does the whole
So
time.
yeah, I would if start this off with Captain Marvel, and then I feel like you're less strained to throw her into Endgame, and then she has more area to work with.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And, yeah.
Because now you kind of started her off on the wrong foot. Now everyone's like, okay. So now the second one's just going to have to be that much better, I think.
Well, I think the second one's going to be better regardless of.
It's true.
I know it's going to be better.
Yeah. That's true. And the premise of it sounds like there's going to be some other good supporting characters in it. So.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Dope.
Black Widow. There was a cool tie-in for the end credit scene for those who stick around. Yelena visits Natasha's grave, and I don't remember what her full name is, but Valentina, who does end up showing up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier for a little bit. Her comic book alias is Madam Hydra, and so she's probably have some interesting devious plots that she's putting on, but maybe nobody knows she's Madam Hydra yet. Maybe she's just kind of like Nick Fury-esque but for this like team of anti-heroes. She gets like Yelena, US agent, and maybe starts to form this like anti-Avengers team.
Yeah. Well, she is doing something nefarious.
Definitely.
Sending her after Hawkeye. So
it's true. On her iPad, nice big old picture of Clint Barton.
Yeah, handsome guy, isn't he?
Handsome guy. Just time to take him down.
Do you think Jeremy Renner was like asked about that? It's like, hey, we're gonna. Do you want?
No, that scene sounded like get the best screenshot we can find with the money that Disney gives you.
Oh, I was talking about the handsome guy thing.
Oh,
it's like
nice.
Like someone's like the Jeremy Renner's agent was like, hey, call him a handsome guy.
Call him a handsome guy with that mohawk. Get it? Yeah.
So that'll be interesting, and that'll probably obviously tie into the Hawkeye show.
Yes, people were worried because Yelena, I guess, is already showing up on IMDb as she's showing up in this Hawkeye Disney Plus show. And so people are like, if you do not release Black Widow soon, you're literally going to have episodes of a show that have a character that hasn't been introduced yet. So there was like
that's crazy.
This push that like, what if Disney like holds off too long?
Yeah.
Granted, they got it out in time.
They could have, yeah. Depending on how everything went.
People were like, just put it on Disney Plus, let us watch it.
Yeah.
When we were still in the midst of COVID, because
I would have been okay with watching this on Disney Plus, to be honest.
That would have been okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay $30 to watch it.
No.
If that was the only way to have watched it, I would have paid $30.
Yeah, we would have split it in one. Yeah.
But no, I'll go see this in the theater.
It was fun. It was fun to go back to the theater. It was fun to have a Marvel movie in the theater.
It was fun to hear people laugh again at a Marvel movie. Yeah, for 2 years that we haven't been able to.
Every time David Harbour did something, there was a woman off to our left.
She was just loving
every second of it. I was like, yes, that felt great.
Yep.
I did have one issue with the movie that I was like kind of confused about, and it's near the end.
Okay.
It's like right at the end.
I'll clear it up for you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I understand.
Go ahead. Yep.
So when she's all the Black Widows have a ship, and they come and they're like, hey, we're gonna come save you guys, and they go off. But then Natasha stays back, and Jonah Ross is coming. How does she get out of that situation?
Yeah, that was an interesting choice by the writers to be like
fade to black.
Yeah.
Open up. Hey, here's a ship. Like, I mean, I guess we assume she either somehow fights them off, or she gets captured and escapes. Goes to this dude, gets a helicarrier, or not, whatever, a ship.
Yeah, because it says 2 weeks later after that.
Later.
So, like, whatever.
Cuts her hair in the meantime.
Cuts her hair and dyes it blonde. Which is kind of cool because it's like she's almost paying homage to Yelena.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool because in Infinity War, it felt like, oh, she's probably just undercover. But in this, it felt like, oh, maybe this was like all planned to be like kind of a cool, like,
an homage.
I love my little sister, so I'm going to look like her. That was kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know how she got out of that. That was interesting.
I was like,
Ross is also notoriously good at sucking at his job.
Right.
Like, his whole thing's like, I'm going to make sure the Avengers answer for their crimes. And then just completely
doesn't do anything.
Shits the bed the entire time. I'm going to make sure I get Hulk and weaponize him and turn in the Abomination. Like, he doesn't have to answer for his crimes after the Incredible Hulk, Like,
right.
Who is this guy? This guy sucks.
Fair. I just think it was a big jump to be
I
like
agree.
fade to black. Now she's free.
Yeah. It was weird. It was like the only thing I can think of is she was literally just able to hide and run away.
But also like take her on the ship.
Yeah.
That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
it
Like take
was-
her on the ship. Go
it had to
2
be a
weeks later.
goodbye so that they could like say goodbye. Because if
Yeah,
it was like you never got to see them actually say like we aren't going to see each other for a while,
Mhm.
it'll be weird when they're like, what happened to Natasha?
Yeah.
Like the next time they show up, you know. So
I know, but like you could say goodbye, dropping her off somewhere.
yeah, I
Or-
think that's a fair nitpick.
Yeah, I think that is of all my nitpicks.
Mhm.
That one's the
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the goodbye probably just to them made more sense to put it there.
Yeah, so they wanted the goodbye, and so they're like, well, we'll kind of hand wave.
She's the Black
she
Widow,
escaped.
whatever.
Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Like,
Grant-
and that's
yeah.
fine. That's exactly what I think they planned.
Mhm.
But it was just odd. If I was a family member, and someone was gonna capture my sister,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a little plane. Why don't you come on the
Yeah.
plane, and then we'll figure it out. Like, why are we
The-
choosing for you to get captured?
The only thing I can think of, but it wouldn't make sense that she would stay on the run, is maybe her taking down the Red Room is enough to like get her diplomatic immunity or something.
Fair.
However, then why does she need to go break all these people out of jail then?
Right.
And what jail are they in that she can go break them out of? Because
Right.
then that feels like that's Ross. And
Yeah,
all
again.
that stuff. So it's like,
Maybe she's getting information from Ross. That's why she
Yeah.
got captured. There's a billion different
and this
ways.
is why it's not a top 5 movie,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a top 10.
I just felt like
That's fair.
I would like that, and not everything has to be explained.
Yeah,
but like
sometimes
it was an odd choice,
you can't
in
take
this
everything
contained
for
movie.
granted.
right?
When there's 18 Hummers coming down the road to be like,
And she
how'd you get
just
out of
took
that?
down a sky castle.
yeah,
and I'm
that's
like,
fair.
yeah,
you're right.
it's not bad.
Yeah.
I just think like it's an odd choice.
It's a little sloppy on the writings.
Yeah.
Like they're like, hey, we did pretty dope, right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, just whatever.
And then
just
fade to black,
Fade to
yeah.
black. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Like those connecting dots, and again, it's just like I don't need that to be connected.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's the choice they do, it's like, hey, she escaped. She's a superhero. Like she can. Do
I was
that.
I was genuinely surprised though by how much I wasn't like, oh, I can't believe they did this. Oh, can you believe that? Like,
Yeah.
there really wasn't a whole lot that I
no,
was
there wasn't
like,
anything that's like.
it was pretty clean, like in
Yeah.
how well it set everything up and
Mhm.
it explained itself without over explaining and stuff like that. But yes, there were a few scenes where it's just like, that was odd. So
Yeah, it's interesting because like to compare it to an over an explanation film like a Han Solo,
mm-hmm.
where like, hey, here's a blaster. Here's how you get your name, Han. Oh, you're by yourself, so we'll call you. So, yeah, so like
completely,
it was completely different. Where it's just like, hey, let's talk about Budapest for like a minute,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're done.
Yeah,
Like you understand, you get it. We didn't have like an extended 15-minute sequence where it's like,
yeah,
I'm Hawkeye and I'm gonna do this, and I'm
Mhm.
Natasha and I'm gonna do this.
Right.
It's like, hey, here's what you need to know: is I blew up this building and I feel bad because like this
With a
this
quick
girl
little
was into it, and
flashback,
it's just
yeah.
like, yeah, and it's just like
agreed.
it could have been bogged down by all of that, and like sometimes less is more. But
Yeah, it was a very light film.
Yeah.
Like I didn't feel weighty at all. I was literally sitting there going like, this is gonna suck at some point.
no, yeah,
The
it
whole
didn't
time
suck.
I was just sitting there just waiting for it. I was like, this movie didn't have to be made, whatever. And then I'm just sitting there. I just ate it all up, dude.
Yeah,
That was
You know,
awesome.
I'll let that chicken Sammy you got.
I told my dad this. I was like, here's the deal. Endgame for me was the main entree. Everything from this point on is just dessert.
Seriously, like it's amazing that like this is even
The
happening.
plane landed. Like, so for me,
It's done. really.
Endgame, there could have been things that they did that would have maybe amplified it just a little bit more. But the fact that the choices that they made landed the plane so well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, okay, from this point on, Marvel, I don't even care.
Yeah.
You could
You
just
already did
suck
it.
from this point
Mhm.
on, whatever. I got what I needed,
Yeah.
and you like did me well for the 10 years that I like trusted in you.
Yeah.
And so from this point on, it's just like, hey, thank you for the extra treat.
Yeah. No,
It's all
seriously,
treats
yeah,
from
exactly,
now.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I don't like it, great. You know,
Yeah.
I don't have to like anything from this point on. Do
It's-
whatever you want.
It's hard to be like everything ends. Like everything has to come to an end, but like even I would take a lot for Marvel to end. They would have to
It
make
is interesting. Yeah, like
5 years of crappy movies.
what would your like
When do I stop?
estimate be of like how many years do you think they got for this?
I don't know, dude.
Before we just go, the world just goes fatigue. We're done.
Well, like I was kind of getting fatigued until Endgame and Infinity War. Like I was like, okay, here's Ant-Man 2 and Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange.
They were notorious up to that point for giving very little crumbs for the amount of time we put into like.
Yeah.
It's like that end credit scene. Now I have to wait a year.
Yeah.
But then when Endgame pays off, you're like, okay, you made it well worth the wait.
Yeah. But now they have to do it again.
Can they capture that?
I think the next big movie, whoever they'd be like, they fight Kang or whatever, like whatever the next Endgame is, if that doesn't do well, it falls apart.
You think that's going to be the writing on the wall?
Yeah, I think like if they don't pull this next group together well and have a good ending, that could really harm them. And that's fair. That's like 7-8 years down the road.
Yeah, I do think they're still going to take their time getting to the end.
Next big bad.
But I will say these TV shows have at least helped in the fact that not only do you get that much more time with the characters, which I think really helps.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have I don't want to replace anything that's happened with the original MCU, but could you imagine if we could have gotten like a Winter Soldier TV show instead of like, I was like, oh my gosh, like with Captain America still being a part of that. Oh my gosh, that would have been nuts. Yeah. Like some of those things just would have been, it's like we can actually dig into this, like the hunt for Bucky instead of it being like off screen for the most part.
Like you said, like it's amazing. Everything's a treat now. It's amazing that this is even happening, that we have a low-key TV show.
Right.
Like this wouldn't be possible.
The what if is really interesting too. That concept is gonna. I saw a new trailer for that, and I'm actually pretty pumped. I was surprised that some of the directions that they're going, and I'll keep them a secret for you, but that feels the most comic booky to me. Because I grew
you can
up
do anything.
with
you can do literally anything.
Yeah, my dad he would have like some pretty cool like Spider-Man comics, but one of my favorite what if comic books was what if the symbiote left Peter, but it just kept going. And so it went to Eddie Brock, and he became Venom, but then it left Eddie Brock and it went to like a bunch of other heroes, and it kept getting stronger. Turns out that eventually they're like, hey, Thor, we're going to need you to like help fight this thing. And he's like, you got it. And he beats the crap out of whoever has it, but then it gets on Thor. So they're like, who can fight Thor with the symbiote?
Yeah.
Like, he's got Mjolnir and he's the symbiote. Like, we're done. And there's only one guy who can keep getting stronger, and it's the Hulk.
Yeah.
So the Hulk finally beats him, and they both, like, almost die in the process. And then the symbiote leaves and goes on to the Hulk. Oh, and then it just shows the world explode. And that's the end of the comic.
That's awesome.
Because it's just that much rage and that much evil mixed, the world dies.
Oh, that's crazy.
And
that's
I was
great.
like, that's an amazing comic book.
Yeah.
It was just one issue, just fun, like, what if this? I was like, I love that stuff.
Yeah, I love when stuff like that, like, one of my favorite comic series is Injustice, where they're like, where they're like, they have liberty to kill heroes. And that's like where it makes me feel real for me, because like the hero always wins, and then they just like, they put the bad guy away, and it's just like, it's cool to have like stakes.
Yep.
Like anything is possible.
Yep.
Like if I read a comic, I know Batman's going to live because they want to sell more Batman comics.
Yes, agreed. A couple other ones that remind me of what you're talking about are obviously Civil War. Civil War is a great comic if you haven't read it, but Avengers Disassembled, where somebody's taking the Avengers out one by one.
Nice.
And that's a pretty good one.
Dope.
And so it's like every issue is like, I think the front cover is like in their prime, or no, maybe it's the back, but then one of them is like black and white with like their name like redacted, and it's just like, dude, this is nuts. It's dope. It's a pretty fun concept. I remember my dad and I used to like hunt those. That was like when we'd actually go to like comic book shops every like month to be like, can we get the next few issues? Because every couple weeks they would come out and stuff. So those were a couple good ones.
Nice,
but
dope.
But yeah, so there's a review on Black Widow. What about what do you got going on now? You reading any books, watching any things?
Well, just bringing that up of comic books, I want to read more comic books, like just in general.
Oh, yes,
like
that's good.
I haven't read comic books in quite some time. Like and mostly like I've been reading DC stuff, but like I've read I can count on one hand how many actual Marvel comics I've actually read. I'm much more well versed in DC, and I would say that's anti of a lot of the culture. Like it's all Marvel.
Yeah,
but like I don't know. I need to read more.
Honest to God, good comic book you should read is Age of Ultron.
All right.
The one that they like it. The movie is very loosely based off.
It's
of
the
it.
name. It's the name only.
The actual Age of Ultron, where he's like, yeah, you gotta watch that. Like,
okay.
The fact that they named it Age of Ultron probably didn't help because like Ultron, when he pops off and like finally gets like good at what he does it so well that like I don't want to ruin it for you, but
it's good.
He
it's
like
good.
yeah,
he's
so
like,
much more powerful
like
than
you talking about going to a comic shop monthly or even weekly. I was like, I remember doing that like in college. I was like going every week and getting like the next issue of the Flash, and like it's fun to be in time with a comic series.
That's true
and
too.
I just haven't done that in like years, and I want to get back on that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
I'm also down to read some DC stuff as long as it's not Superman.
Dope.
I've still dabbled. I like read like Kingdom Come.
Yeah, there's good stuff.
Some of the like higher up like.
If you want to pick like a new series to go weekly by, would you be down for that?
Oh, you're just asking in general.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you were saying like, hey, you know which one you need to read.
Oh no.
I was like,
I'm not caught up on anything.
Oh,
I'm so far behind.
No, that'd be fun.
So,
because we're talking about books that we read and stuff
DC
like that.
and
So.
Marvel, yeah. I don't know. That's
Fair
not
enough.
what I'm reading. That's what I'm planning to read.
Fair enough.
Um,
One thing we didn't do though was actually score this movie. You like scoring these movies?
I do like.
We did recommend them.
I did recommend this.
So let's go back to Black Widow for 2 seconds.
Wasn't it spoilers? Wasn't it crazy when she died?
Yeah, crazy.
Oh, crazy.
I'm gonna go with an 8.5.
Cool. I'm gonna go 7.
You always like
I know.
7. That's fine.
I'm gonna preface that by saying I'm gonna rank all the movies that I labeled a 7.
Yep.
A Quiet Place 2 is top. Then
It was a strong 7.
as a strong 7.
Independence Day is the highest 7 it could possibly be.
Well, I take all that back. Independence Day is a 10 in my heart, but a 7 in theory.
Yep.
So that I'm putting.
And
I'm
then
throwing
In
that
the Heights
to the
is
side.
like a low 7.
Yeah, so it would go of the new movies, Quiet Place, this, In the Heights.
And then Independence Day is just off in its own
Independence Day is a 10. And Independence Day is above A Quiet Place personally, but it's if movie-wise, production-wise, it's below everything. But
I liked this more than any of the new movies we reviewed.
Oh, okay. This is mid tier for me. Yeah. I like Quiet Place 2. I would say retroactively 7.5. If we're doing
you
0.5s, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Just to be different, but like I was thinking like when the movie ended, I'm like, I'm gonna give another 7 to a movie. Dang it.
That's okay. You genuinely like movies.
Yeah.
And so for you, I feel like
It's tough
it has
to
to
get
do a
not
lot
set,
to get
yeah.
under something. You
Yeah.
know, like
And so I'm
under
like,
a 5.
A
for
6
you
is
would
a
be
tough
like, whoa.
get for me to be like. I would have to pretty much. A 6 would be like, oh, I kind of liked it, and then a 5 is like, I watched it, I would probably never watch it again. A 4 is.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if you even go below like. For you, I feel like if it's a 4, it's like it might as well be a 0.
Well, I just saw 4 the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it?
So I saw this movie Trick or Treat.
Oh, well. Okay. It doesn't surprise me.
Have you seen it? Have you heard of it? It's like
it's like a cheesy horror film, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
But like some people love it. Like
So it's like a cult classic 4 where
Yeah.
it's like if you love it, it's an Independence Day 10.
Yeah,
if you
pretty
hate
much.
it, it's
and
a
so
4.
I'm like, it just like wasn't my vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I was like watching through this movie like, wow, I genuinely don't like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is new for me where I genuinely don't like a movie.
Dang.
Like it just wasn't my jam, and I know people like it, and I'm just like, it wasn't me. It wasn't my jam.
Yeah, I can't remember the last movie I watched that I genuinely was like, I don't like this at all.
But even then, I gave it like a 4, and I probably should have given it like a 3. Personally, it's like a 3.
Yeah.
But I was like 4. I was like, some people like this, and there's some moments where I was like, eh.
It's weird. I feel like there's some people who would say like a 5 is still pretty good. It's like some people, the way they would rate is like 5 is like, hey, that's like pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get up in the 8s, it's like, whoa, that's like a really excellent film. And then 10 is like perfection. That like is untouchable.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I'd probably be a little more liberal with that and be like, I could say a 9 and still have like quite a few flaws with it.
Right.
And then I could even say 10 and say it's not perfect,
Well,
but
no,
it was
it's
just
perfect.
excellent. Yeah.
Besides the
But
weather.
you know what I mean?
But
some people are, yeah, nice. Nice little slip there.
I think so. Yeah, I guess my rating, my most popular rating is, as you could probably guess, a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Because most movies I'm like, I enjoyed it.
Yep.
Like most movies I'm like, oh, that was fine. I like it. I enjoy what they were doing. They tried different things. But a 10 is like, I will watch this movie day in, day out. And I think my second most given rating, or my second least given rating, is a 9, because I would just put it down at an 8 or a 10. A 9 is like hard to be like, because like when I love a movie, I don't think of it as a 9. It's just up a 10.
There. Yeah.
And then like 8 is like, oh, it was a really good movie. 9's actually probably my least given score because it's like, so if I love it, I'm just bumping it up to 10.
Yeah, for me, I like would say if I really like a movie, I'm like skeptical to give a 10 more than anything. And so I would just be like safe at a 9.
That's fair.
So that's probably where I differ, is like if it's already up to an 8, I'm like, bump it up to a 9, but not up to a 10. And then if it's a 10, it's like, whew, spicy. Yikes.
Caliente.
Yeah.
So this is an 8.5.
Yeah, it's up there.
That's really high.
I really like this movie. I'm with you. I don't know if I'd watch it once a week.
No,
but I wouldn't watch I wouldn't watch
Endgame.
Captain America Winter Soldier, and I love Captain America Winter Soldier. I wouldn't watch that every week either.
Me neither.
There was something really refreshing about this movie. I think I liked the simplicity and just how like truly like light it felt. Like I didn't feel like I had to think and be like, what Easter egg am I not missing that I'm gonna have to watch like
That's
4
fair,
videos
yeah.
about? And like it felt so like packaged and like, this doesn't have to be leading into 80 different things.
Right.
It's this, and she's done. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. But
That's fair.
I think we've got quite a few solid movies coming up in the Marvel universe, so I'll be curious to see. And I think they're going to be a lot more crazy.
I think I can already tell I'm gonna enjoy all of them better.
Yep.
I already know.
And for me, so this is why I'm super excited. We got Shang-Chi in September. We got Eternals in November, and we got
the big one.
Spider-Man 3 that we know nothing about yet in December. But October, no Marvel movie. Oh yeah, but guess what? The Spice Must Flow, and that comes out in October. Dune, baby. It's gonna be a solid 4 months. I'm gonna be very excited.
Do you want to share our Dune experience last night?
Oh yes. So let me get people caught up. I have done my side of the homework, as you have. You've done nothing.
I've done a great job.
You've done nothing to prepare for Dune, which is what we've agreed on. And I have finished the first novel.
No way, you finished.
I finished.
Let's go. Okay,
I posted it on Reddit. It was like, I've finished, and then I posted something very productive to get some conversation going. Got like 30 comments.
On like the Reddit thread you were telling me
The
about.
Reddit thread.
Like,
got like
Dune
18
stuff.
positive karma from it.
Oh wow.
I'm going places.
Look at you.
Yeah, very average comments, but it was great.
I thought you were gonna say book. I'm like,
No, I asked him because the first movie, Denis Villeneuve has already come out and said it's not going to encompass the whole first book. It's going to be split into at least 2 parts.
Nice. Good.
So I asked Reddit and said, where do you think they'll cut it off at? And blah, blah, blah. And so
nice.
there
Hey,
was
there
some
you
fun conversations. And they were just like, oh, I think probably at this scene. I was like, yeah, or it could be here, and blah, blah. And so it was really good. A lot of Denis Villeneuve fans in there. I was like, do you think the reason why they haven't started filming the second part yet are my friend and I think that it's because Hollywood just doesn't quite trust this guy.
Yeah.
Even though he makes excellent films.
He makes 0 money.
And this guy just goes, I'm with you 100, and then the 2 lines at like 100.
Oh, yeah.
Like he agrees with
Keep
me 100%. And I was like, my dude.
My dude. We want to get on a podcast? Like, you want to zoom
Come
in
on
on a podcast? No, I think the reason why Denis Villeneuve's movies are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They make no money.
Even I don't understand why. I don't know if it's a marketing issue, if it's the topics that they choose. He doesn't make movies that are outside of like a genre that doesn't make a lot of money.
Sci-fi doesn't make. I mean, real weird, thinky sci-fi doesn't make a lot of money.
Well, I know, but don't think they're advertised as thinky.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's still, all of his movies to me have been advertised blockbustery.
Yeah.
You know, like Arrival feels very like, I mean, like if Prometheus or like an Alien movie,
Right.
I understand that has a brand to it.
Right.
But if those movies can make their money back, so can Arrival.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like
I don't know.
I think giving him a brand name like Dune,
I'm hoping.
because there is awareness, and it is the most blockbuster of his movies, even more than a Blade Runner.
Yeah, I would agree. I did not know how like popular yet like kind of cult like the following is of
Yeah.
Dune. Like, I think it's, if you have been introduced to it, it's definitely something you like a lot. And it feels like it was Star Wars before Star Wars, and then Star Wars took all of its like, it like deflated Dune, in my opinion. Like, I think there's a couple shows, but like all the books and all the stuff, I'm just like, the lore here seems like this was like the first big sci-fi like following before your Star Treks and Star Wars.
And
it was
just
just
got
they
popular.
just beat them to the punch a little bit. So I'm excited because I'm like, I would rather this movie be done quality over like what they can fit into it, and I hope it leads to many more movies. With all the people that they have in it, with Hollywood and all that stuff, I'm like, maybe they'll get one more movie with this cast.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
And that's a lot to juggle, but I'm excited for it. But anyway, finished the first novel. Big fan.
Good.
Don't fully understand everything. It's very dense. I would say it's probably similar to like Lord of the Rings and like how descriptive everything is. And like,
here's this
Tolkien's
house
writing.
and what they do, and then they make this, and then their history is this.
The only thing that's different with this is the setting is obviously more like space and sci-fi, but a lot more political. Whereas I think maybe like Lord of the Rings would be like a little more like religious, or, well, I don't know. Dune's pretty religious too.
No,
I don't know.
Lord of the Rings is very much like, hey, we're gonna sit around and sing some songs.
Yeah, but like all the gods and stuff, like Sauron, and like there's a lot of this like lore there too.
Right.
I don't know.
It's a linguist made a book because he was like, hey, there's a language, I need to make a book about.
Right.
It. And so like it was very like, I don't know. They are different even from like not reading Dune. I feel like Dune is more political and could be more of a Game of Thrones type.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones is
maybe
much more
right.
political than people like think of.
Yeah,
it's people talking
and
in a room.
They really do just throw you into like the novel would say like, this place has been around. You're basically dropping into like year 3000.
Yeah,
and we're just gonna just start with you being in year 3000 and talk to you as though these characters should already exist in your mind.
Yeah.
And then as you hear what they say, you'll understand where they are at. Like, they really just throw you into the wolves.
And sometimes that's the best. That I love doing that because like that feels like you're in a world. Whereas it's just like, hey, here's some hand holding, and it's like, here's the origin story of every character that you meet, and it's like, oh no, this world exists, and that feels much more lived in and real. And so
yeah. No, it's very good. I'll probably have to do either a second reading or just like a Spark Notes style. Just be like, okay, when this happened, what actually happened?
I'm sure there's like a ton of YouTube videos about like, hey, here's some like Dune lore that you should know before going into the movie.
Before you tattoo it on your body. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Flow.
Yeah. So anyway, with that said, I got a board game called Dune Imperium, which is one of the first games that I have that's like licensed in partnership with a movie company. So Legendary Pictures, like I think Christopher Nolan's movies are Legendary Pictures, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds
part of his like production
good,
company, I think. And so this literally has artwork and everything based off of the characters from this movie. So it's like, it felt gimmicky at first. I was like, oh, look, you can literally play as Timothée Chalamet or Oscar Isaac or all these other characters from this movie. But it actually is like an excellent worker placement deck building game. And we played it last night.
It's great.
I introduced you to it. You don't know anything about Dune,
Nope.
but you figured it out. And you're like,
I know that,
I think the spice must flow.
Yeah.
And so you figured that out.
All I remember, I was like a slightly nervous of like, oh, I'm going to learn about all these families and stuff. So all I know about going into it is what I knew about going into before, and that's spice.
Perfect.
And the spice must flow. And I'm like, and I knew like, oh, there's a bunch of families, and there's a desert planet, and there's worms. That's all I know. That's all I need to know.
Perfect.
That's all I knew before, and that's all I knew.
I know, like
now.
a part of me is like, I kind of wish you had read it so we could talk about it for 3 months, but maybe it'll make our Dune podcast
It would be
that much better when you're like, oh, now I finally get this, or now I have questions, and I can be like, well, let me look to the literature.
Yeah, oh, the literature is like
let
having
me
the
pull the scripture of Dune out really quick and
Dune.
share with you.
Well, okay, so yeah, I think that's good because we'll have two sides of the same coin, where like someone is more well versed, and someone is fresh. Like I know that there's worms and a desert planet.
Yeah. The thing I'm worried about with Dune, I'm going in the exact opposite as Black Widow.
You're like hyped.
I'm like,
you're so hyped.
If this movie just scratches the surface of like how good the novel is, this could be the best movie, or it could be one of my favorite.
I don't
want to
hype it more. As if this movie is competently made and like makes sense and doesn't jump around,
it's gonna be a fun world to explore.
It's gonna be great. Like I'm gonna love this movie. Like I'm a sucker for sci-fi, and like this is gonna. I'm really excited for this movie.
We were ready for the spice to flow.
The spice must flow. But anyways, you want to say who won last night's game?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But
it got spicy.
It did get spicy. There was some spice involved. I shared with you that I would help you make good decisions or help you take back turns if you made stupid decisions. And I felt like I kept that into the bargain, and then I hustled the shit out of you.
I didn't take back nothing.
No, you didn't.
I was in.
You could have, though. There was a few where I was like, do you want to just go back?
No, I'm in.
And you're like, all right.
No, I got close. You in the end, you definitely beat me.
There was a few plays that were very crucial, and I had just the right amount of stuff. Like, it couldn't have worked out any better.
I was literally like 1 point away from beating you on a certain thing.
And I played
that was
one card.
And you played one card. It was game changer.
It did change the whole
here's
game.
7 points.
And it almost didn't work out because, like, one of them was like, get rid of one of your guys from conflict and put one of mine in.
Yeah,
and that was enough of a swing that changed everything.
And that literally changed the whole game because then you were all of a sudden like 4 victory points ahead of me. And I was like, otherwise it would have been 8 versus 7.
Yeah, you would have either been right on my tail or you would have taken the lead by 1.
I would have taken the lead by 1.
So, yeah, it was huge. But what a fun game.
It was a great game.
And it sounds like after you thought about it, though, you're like, that was actually a good game. So, like, you might want to play again.
I would totally play it again. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll totally play it again. I'm down for any game.
So, there you go. So, you got Black Widow. That's a movie you guys should watch. Dune. That's a game you should play. And get ready to read because the spice is going to flow October 22nd, I think. I think it got pushed back to middle of October now. So,
you have 4 months to
get your Funko Pops, to get your Dune Imperiums. They also announced an expansion to Dune Imperium already for Q4 coming out holiday.
Q4.
Mom, don't worry, it'll be in the Amazon wish list.
Man.
It's going to be great. So
nice. Right on.
I think we tackled everything that we need to.
We tackled everything. I think that was a great episode.
Hey.
You know,
we did this.
I think we did this. We're almost there. Episode 50 is merch episode.
So we're 10% of the way.
So we're 10% of the way there.
That's right. We can keep going. But anyway, you probably haven't heard any Black Widow reviews yet.
No. This is day 1, baby.
But at least you've heard from us. Not Us United.
That's right.
See ya, everybody.
You've just listened to Not Us United. You can find us under Not Us United on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please leave us a review and consider subscribing to our podcast. You can reach out for future podcast topic suggestions at notusunitedpod@gmail.com.